Does color matter? I have heard countless artists say color doesn't matter. What matters is things like contrast and your values and that kind of stuff. And I agree that those things are very important. But I think color matters. Here's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to do 2 drawings, 2 paintings. One will be, I'm going to make them recognizable as a subject. One will be done with standard colors for that subject. The other one is going to be done with different colors that are not standard for the subject. You tell me which one is more interesting. I am just going to say that from the beginning, I think that changing the colors and making them not standard, in other words, I'm not doing something representational. Well, the picture itself is representational, but I'm not doing the colors are not representational for the picture that I'm doing. And I think that draws more interest into it. So I think color does matter. Which colors might not matter, but I think the colors themselves, that they are not standard colors, I think they make the piece more interesting. I am just an abstract artist, so you can't ask me. Of course I'm going to say that. So I want to hear what you say. What do you say? When you look at these 2 side by side at the end, you tell me you like the ones that have the colors that are normal for what the subject is, or you like the ones that the colors are not normal, that the colors are completely different than what you would expect. I think it brings more interest to the piece. That's just me. But we'll talk about that, I guess. And companies are out of control. You know, I understand that it is getting close to the holidays, and companies can't find you. They have no idea where you are, except they know you're somewhere on YouTube. So they contact everyone they can and say, hey, I want to send this to you to review, even if it has nothing to do with you. I have had several, I'm not going to name the companies, it doesn't matter. But I've had companies offer me, I had someone offer me an acoustic electric guitar. Now they may have seen where I painted on the pick guard, or I painted a guitar pedal, and I talk about music sometimes. Maybe they think I was a music channel, maybe they caught that video. What about this one? I gotta read this to you because this blew my mind. When I saw this, it just, okay, ready? I'm not gonna read the name of the company. I'm not going to do that to anybody because I understand. They're just looking for, they're like, I don't know where to find anybody. Can you help me? I get that. So they sent me this email and it says, I hope this message finds you well. My name is whatever her name is, or his name. And I'm from whatever the company is, a brand that specializes in bra pads, chest stickers, shorts, leggings, and other women's clothing products. We have been following your social media presence and are impressed by your content and influence. I don't think they are. I don't think they followed anything I've done. I don't think I've ever in my life reviewed chest stickers. Matter of fact, I know I haven't. So I don't understand. And then they send me this bill. Oh yeah, we'd like to send you our new yoga pants. Have you ever seen me wear yoga pants? It's not a feature of this channel, but they're desperate to sell. I get it. I understand. It's hard to find people to spend money because a lot of people are in bad shape right now. And that's why I'm always very appreciative of any of you who support the channel in any way monetarily. You buy through Amazon links, or you're Patreon, or you buy some art from me, or whatever the case is. I am very grateful for that. I understand how hard it is to get the dollar in your hand. And then you feel that what I'm doing is worth giving some of it to me. I'm very grateful for that. So I get it. I understand that they're trying to find people that have money to get the money from those people. Again, it's not sponsored. This is my opinion of how I've been dealing with things and the ridiculous requests that I'm getting sometimes. Anyway, all right, let's get into this. So like I said before, I'm going to start this with just something very simple. It's still an abstract piece, both of them are. And I did the drawing for the second one first. on the reverse side of this piece of paper that you're seeing me start on. And I didn't add as much contrast when I did one of these. I forget if it's the first one or second one. But anyway, it doesn't matter a whole lot. It's really about the colors here. But what I'm doing here is something very simple. Just some abstract mushrooms with a couple of trees next to them. And kind of funneling into the mushrooms. Anyway, I set that up. But I didn't really know exactly all the detail I was going to put in here until I did. But I think, like I said, this is just my opinion. I noticed this a lot. There are a couple of colored pencil artists that are really good with this. They use very bright pastel-y colors, which are not my thing. But whenever I see their work, it just takes me by surprise because it's not the right colors for the thing. Like do an animal or something like that. And there's like pinks and purples and oranges and swirls of things. And there's just colors that are not on the animal. But when I see it, even though I don't really like the colors, it pulls my attention to it immediately. Because it's not what I'm used to seeing, and my brain tries to figure it out. And that's the thing with abstract art, is you're trying to make something that doesn't make a whole lot of sense look interesting. Now, I consider this piece an abstract piece, but at the same time, it's basically representational abstract. You know those are mushrooms. You know that what's next to them, even though they don't look like any tree you could ever recognize, you understand that they're trees. That's just what it is. Not like some of the other stuff I do where it's just big swirls of color and then I put the detail in. This actually looks like something, but is it more appealing to you if it looks like what it's supposed to look like? Or if I go ahead and put in the different colors that's what I really want you to tell me, because I notice when on art, like I said, I look at it and if it's a weird color, it catches my attention and it makes me stare at it. And that's what good art does. There was someone who just recently asked me, they said that they're new to abstract art. They love the way it looks, but they're not really sure if they're appreciating it properly. They can't really tell, hey, wait a minute, am I supposed to understand what this artist was feeling or the message they were trying to convey? Or no, that's never how I look at art. The way that I look at art, well, I don't know if you're supposed to or not, but that's not what I do. That's not what art is for me. When I look at abstract art, the only thing that I want to know, I don't care about your story, just close your mouth on that for a minute. Tell me, is it interesting to look at? You don't have to tell me, I can tell you. I look at it and I say, is this interesting? I may, after a while, want to hear the story behind it, after I decide if I even think it's interesting. But most of the time, the story is actually what makes me not like the art. I don't care about any of the emotional stories that you have to tell me about the art until after I find it interesting. Don't tell me, because I might not like it then. But at least if I like the piece, I'm like, oh, I really like that piece. It's just, I can tell the way this moves this way and that moves that way. It draws my color, it draws my eyes across the page and back loops around back into the piece, and I love the way that works. And I love maybe I like the palette that's being used, and I say, okay, yeah, it's not what it's supposed to be, but I understand that I like that color palette, and it's working for me. I enjoy what that is. But artists are very dramatic. They want to tell you their novel before you even tell them if you like the piece to begin with. And they're like, oh, when I was 3 years old, I saw a butterfly, and the childhood wonder made me think this way, and I just decided to put that down on paper. You drew a square. It's a square on the corner of the page. Don't tell me anything about that. I don't care about what you saw when you were a kid. It's a square on the page. It's not interesting. However, if you see something that's very interesting and the person doesn't have the story, it still doesn't ruin the art. The person, you can make it look real interesting and say, wow, it's really interesting. What is that? They're like, I have no idea. That's what I do. I have no idea. I just put some stuff on a page and I tried to make it look interesting. That's all it was. There's no feeling, emotion here. I have no story here. But it doesn't ruin the art. Whereas the story can ruin the art. it has, the art itself is what's important, catching your attention, making you want to stare at something that looks like nothing. It doesn't, that's not what it looks like, and yet I want to stare at it. That's what real abstract art is for me, and that's what I enjoy. So that's what I try and give you. I try and give you something that is interesting to look at. I have no story behind it, none at all, other than maybe I like mushrooms, or maybe I like, I did a rock, and maybe I like the detail lines, and that's my story. I like the work that I'm doing. I like the art of creating it. It's the art of creating the art. That's what that is. And it's just, that's my favorite part of it. I love experimenting and coming up with new ideas and trying to put something on a page that may look interesting. It may not. You may hate it. Don't worry about that. Not everybody likes everything. That's okay. I used to hate abstract art. Matter of fact, I'm going to put a picture somewhere on this screen, I think, of a painting that is still in my house. That it was I never liked abstract art. I hated it. And then I would walk in, my wife got a picture, it was an abstract piece, put it up on the wall. As soon as you walk in the door, that's what you saw. Every single day, that's what I saw. And after a while, I started to say, wait a minute, I think I like that. I think I can, that's catching my attention, and I'm seeing more and more things and details in there that I didn't see before. And it started to make me think. And then I started to watch artists who did abstract art, and I would mute them because I don't want to hear their story. I'm tired of that nonsense. All I want to know is, what do you do? Let me see what you're doing. And I would see what they were doing and say, wow, that's interesting. That is very interesting. Wonder if they developed this part a little bit more, how that would work. So then I started putting it into my art and just changing. I went from very realistic type art, just representational, not hyper-realism. I did a little bit of that, but not a whole lot. It wasn't my thing. I don't find joy in that. It doesn't really do anything for me. So I still like the painterly look, but I would do animals and try and make them look very representational and get the shadows right and get all that stuff. And I would do that, and I thought it would look nice. So I started to take that and maybe put some abstract in it, maybe put some tension in it. That was my favorite thing to do. I used to put tension in the art that didn't really belong there. Like, just for example, you'd have a tree that was behind another tree. You can obviously see that it was distanced behind it, and yet I would have a part of it, maybe a branch or something, that went across the front of another tree that was in front of it. It just brought that tension in there. Or maybe I would do something slightly asymmetrical that should be symmetrical, or something like that. Or I would do that all the time in my art because I wanted to create that tension in there. I wanted to do something different and see if it was interesting just doing that. And you know what? That is the first thing that people see. Now, if someone tells you they don't like your art, and yet it causes them to stare at it for an hour, that is a win in my book. I don't care if you don't like it. You just stared at that thing for an hour. My art was interesting, so you just looked at it. And that's really what art is about for me. I like when things look interesting. I don't really care if they're the right shape or the right tone or if the shadows are right. Or I do like composition. That's what I do like, a nice composition that kind of leads you into the piece and maybe makes you enjoy it a little bit more. That I do enjoy. And contrast. Contrast is my best friend. I love high contrast pieces. I like that in everything, and I'm just throwing this in here for all the wonderful people who love cameras. That's why I like cameras with high contrast. Anyway, so I like the contrast in the art. I always try and put more contrast in art, and sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. You'll see it's the second piece. I didn't put the contrast in the mushrooms the way that I wanted to. Not like I did on the first one. And so it looks a little different, looks a little softer, but that's okay. But I do like those big dark areas of high contrast. I like that. Which is why I put ink in all my pieces. This is the reason that I use ink. A lot of people just use watercolor. I like the ink because it gives it a definite dark, deep black in contrast to the lighter colors or the white of the page. Either way. And so I like that. So I do that all the time. But I want to know what do you think about abstract art? Because a lot of people, and when I was talking to this person, I said, don't let a piece of art make you feel inadequate. Because they were like, oh, I don't really think I'm getting it right, and I don't know what to think about their piece, and I don't want to insult them. And no, the art doesn't make you feel inadequate. You make the art feel inadequate, if anything. You don't do that with someone. Your art does not make them feel inadequate because they didn't get what you were trying to say. That's on you. If you can't convey your own message, that's all on you. And don't try to put such a lengthy message. This is not a novel we're doing here. It's a visual art. It's a visual experience that we're trying to do here. It has nothing to do with the sadness of the this and the that, and because this person went through this and that. No, that's not what this is about. This is just art. That's all abstract art is about. Now you want to do something representational, then you show a woman holding a baby and she's crying and you're telling a story. That's different. I get that. They're telling a story with that piece. That's completely different. Not abstract art. That's not what abstract art is. It's not that way. And I know I'll get the people who tell me everything is abstract art because it's not really the thing. So it's just your interpretation of it as an artist, what you put on the page. I understand what you're saying. I'm still going to say that's my dog, by the way. She's snorting. Anyway, it's just about the art. It's about making people think that is interesting to look at. And if you can do that, if you can make nothing look interesting, I think you're a better artist than if you can make something look interesting. That's my opinion. I know it's not a popular opinion. Most people do not feel that way. Most people feel that more realistic art, it takes more skill than abstract art. But I'm saying, this is just me talking now. I've done both. And I think it's harder to do abstract art and make it look interesting than it is to do, because I've said this 100 times. If you do something that someone loves, like someone loves horses, and you paint a horse, even if it's not perfect, they're going to have some kind of attraction to that piece. They'll be like, oh yeah, it's a horse, it's nice, it's beautiful. But and of course if it's terrible, then it'll make it be terrible even more. But if you do an abstract piece and they don't know what it is, but they like it, that's different. They have no reason to be attracted to it, but yet they are. They have no attachment to it, and yet they have one. That, for me, is more difficult, and I enjoy doing it so much more than doing something more fully representational or realistic. Now, this abstract pieces like this, I consider abstract. That nothing looks like this. This isn't a real thing. There's no tree that looks like that. There's no mushroom that looks like that. I did in the bottom on both pieces, I made the ground color green, but different kinds of green. But it doesn't matter. It's just that it's still an abstract kind of piece, like an abstract landscape or something like that. But when I do my other regular abstract work, that's what it is. It's just, it doesn't mean anything. They're just lines and detail put in, and develop the area and see if I can make it interesting for people that don't even know what it is. I love that. I think it's wonderful. Let me know what you think, because I would like to hear your opinion. Just like these people popping up on the screen here, I'd like to hear their opinion all the time. They always tell me their opinion, and I enjoy them for it. So thumb up the video if you're going to let me know, or if you're not going to let me know. Or you can just thumb up the video because you want it to make my day, and that does make my day. So thumb up the video if you're going to maybe try a little bit of abstract art. Change some colors around. Even if you do representational art, change some colors, see if it adds interest, and that's the goal with art. Make it interesting. Don't just make it, oh yeah, that looks exactly like the picture. I know people love to do that, and I have nothing against that. I understand that takes a lot of skill. I'm saying do something different and make it more interesting, and see if that helps people look at your art and say, oh wow, that's interesting. Alright, if you would like to join our community, go to illustrationsbypete.com. You can come in, you can put your own artwork on the site and promote it. You can find some inspiration in the free reference photos. You can just use them however you want in your artwork. You do not need to credit me. Or you can come into the forums and talk to some people and maybe give some advice and maybe find a little bit of information that helps you. So come check us out. Alright, that's about it for me. I'm going to go. I'll see you in the next one.